Hey there, I'm Lee Ullman here with some big news from the National Young Farmers Coalition. We're partnering with Heritage Radio Network on a special season of The Farm Report. It's all about what's happening with the Farm Bill and how it impacts farmers and eaters.
I am growing diversified vegetables on land that's been in our family for 150 years.
And so with the pandemic, gentrification, property values going up, we had to sell the land and we lost it.
Join us as we uncover the untold stories behind this massive piece of legislation that shapes how we grow our food, what we eat, and so much more.
The problems we have had, those are things that come from earlier Farm Bill and USDA policy, right? Like Earl Butz, get big or get out.
You know, it's my responsibility to know not only what I'm eating, but then like how that all came to be. And realize like, wow, like this piece of legislation, all this money, like it's technically something that I support as a taxpayer.
While Congress debates the next Farm Bill, this is not just an invitation to listen. It's a call to action. Be part of the conversation. Subscribe to the Farm Report on Heritage Radio Network, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hearst Ranch is a proud sponsor of the Heritage Radio Network. Learn more about Hearst Ranch at HearstRanch.com.
My name is Hannah Forden. I'm the membership coordinator at Heritage Radio Network, but even before I joined the team, I loved listening to HRN during my subway commute. It made the time go quickly and left me feeling inspired for the day ahead. HRN listeners tune in from all over the world, but there are a few traits that we all have in common, no matter where we listen from. A curious palate, the fierceness to make a difference, and a hunger for lifelong learning about the culinary world. As you know, Heritage Radio Network is a listener-supported nonprofit. To deliver the most ambitious, entertaining, and of-the-moment stories in 2018, we need your help. We need to raise $150,000 by December 31st to accomplish these goals and to keep your favorite shows on the air. Together, we can make this HRN's most exciting, impactful, and delicious year yet. Become a member by donating today. Join us at heritageradionetwork.org/donate, and you'll immediately start enjoying benefits such as VIP invitations to HRN events, where you will mix and mingle with your favorite hosts. Memberships also make a perfect holiday gift for all the foodies in your life. This year, why not give the gift of food radio? You'll hear your generosity in action for the year to come. Help keep our lights on and our mics hot by pledging your support today at heritageradionetwork.org/donate. Thanks for listening.
Hello and welcome to A Hungry Society. I'm Portia Wilson, and this is the show where we talk about dining, food, media, and so much more. Before we get into today's show, I want to send a special shout out and a big thank you to people that donated on our Facebook page to our fundraiser. Will Hanson, Stephen Connolly, and Danielle Fortune, thank you so much for helping to keep this show on the air. I really appreciate it. So let's get into today's show. Our guest is Marquis Hayes, chef of Drive Change, an organization that offers job training and fellowship to formerly incarcerated community members via food trucks in New York City. Chef Hayes grew up in South Bronx and was previously the executive chef at Café Henrie in Manhattan's Lower East Side. And we also have a bonus guest today. We have James Starks, the director of fellowship for Drive Change, and he is also a New York City native. Gentlemen, I'm so happy to have you today.
What's up? Thank you.
Peace.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having us, Portia.
So, for the listeners who maybe haven't heard of Drive Change, can you talk a little bit about the organization and what you do?
So, Drive Change is a nonprofit organization that teaches formerly incarcerated individuals how to re-enter society through hospitality. We use vessels like food trucks, catering operations, and products and services within the hospitality industry to teach them the soft skills on how to re-enter society and engage into some type of entrepreneurial skill sets. James, you can chime in at any time.
That's pretty much it. He did a great job of explaining what we do. We employ formerly incarcerated youth between the ages of 18 and 25 on a food truck in the hospitality industry to teach them transferable skills, things that the world knows as soft skills. We call them essential skills. We believe in language and changing the narrative, the way things used to be, to the way things that to the way that you want things to sound. So we don't call people like our chef a felon or an ex-felon. These are to us derogatory terms. The way that we relate to Chef Mark is by calling him or people like him, formerly incarcerated person, FIP, or returning citizen. And we teach them things like communication, time management, conflict resolution, things that in our neighborhood, I'm from East New York, things that we weren't taught growing up, but things that if you have access to opportunity, you learn these things on the way, just on your natural life.
Yeah, you won't feel pigeonholed. We teach them confidence and self-awareness. Just a lot of things that are not taught in school that are very vital within the corporate world or any atmosphere when it comes to just making money. And we all have, our motto is everyone's a genius. And we're trying to teach people how to tap into and cultivate that genius. I discovered food for me is therapy. It's my way of escape. New York is one huge distraction. It can be very toxic at times, and when I'm in the kitchen, no one exists.
You can shut it all out and just cook
and just dive in and go ham, and no pun intended. And and then that end result is like, oh wow, you made this, and then that gratification you get when someone bites into something and you see their expression is priceless for me, and it allowed me to. What else could I create to do that, and how far can I take this? So I started Brown Butter New York 4 years ago, and literally one day I woke up and I said, I'm not going to be in the streets anymore. I'd like literally cold turkeyed it from that day on, and it's funny because not too long ago I like was going through old clothes and previous things that I have not dealt with, and I found things like, wow, these things still exist. Like, you literally stopped cold turkey. And
what'd you find?
That's a good question. Hey, you're trying to take my... I know this is your first time on the radio. You're taking my job.
I'm sorry about that.
No, that's a good question.
I found lemon zest in my pocket.
Lemon zest?
Nah, I found drugs in my pocket.
Oh, wow.
Like 3 years old. Drugs.
Wow.
That were probably, for whatever reason, meant to be distributed, and they never got there. But it was such a fast transition for me, and I never looked back. And it had a lot to do with the comfort zone that food gave me, because the type of money I was making on the streets, I was addicted to that life. Like, there are addicts to the drug, and there are addicts to the life, and to the type of power and that comes with that, and I was addicted to that. And food was the segue for me. We and James were just laughing, and I said if I wasn't the chef up north, I probably would have been left up north, because I was talking to him about someone on the floor was wearing a purple sweater, and as soon as I got to Clinton when I was 23 years old, I went to Clinton, Dannemora County, and the first person gave me a purple sweater. And the purple sweater said, it meant that I was his girl or his bitch. And I put it on unconsciously.
Wow.
And I was labeled at that point. But to redeem myself, I started cooking in my cell. I turned my bed frame into a hot plate, and no more mess hall for me. It was people stopping by the cell and saying, hey, could I put money in your account to get a plate, just one plate of food a week, because it smells so good, and like it reminds me of home.
Whether like you finding the drugs in your pocket, what a powerful reminder of like how far you've come in a very short amount of time. So like flash forward to now working with these fellowships and like trying to pass on that love, that the passion that you have for cooking, the therapy that you found in cooking. How has that experience been?
That experience has been really profound and impactful for me. I've learned, though, that you can't force feed people your passion. Mm-hmm. You need to allow them to understand that passion exists and then help them discover their passion. I feel that as a culture, being black and born and raised in the Bronx in a specific class, that I'm aware of things through my ventures. I'm aware of things that a lot of people from my environment aren't, specifically when it comes to food culture. And it's baffling to me, like, when I try to introduce it to them and they do everything in their power to denounce it. They're like, I don't, that shit out of here. I don't.
You can curse on here. It's encouraged.
I love it. Get it out of here. That's not for us. You're being bougie. Like, no. Like, there should not be a specific class of people who should be able to embrace and enjoy these amazing things in life, like fresh carrots and fresh eggs and farm raised and pastures and produce. It's just insane to me. And when I try to introduce it to them, for instance, I sent a worker of mine when I was doing brown butter. I said, I need some organic carrots. Go to the store and give me organic carrots. And he brings me back a can of Del Monte. It had organic on the can, but
it's not what you were thinking.
I didn't know it exists, like an organic carrot in a can. I mean, and then we're getting really, really granular here, but it's cheaper to eat healthier, and we don't know that.
Yes.
We could grow our own shit. We could raise our own pastures and do everything that these huge organizations are doing and benefit in a way that we don't know exists, and we refuse to do it. And that pisses me off. So, like, the motivator for me is to prove to everybody that this is very necessary and someone has to do it. Like, I could be angry all day long, but if it's not done, these are just...
What's the point?
Yeah. These are just words. So right now, God bless Drive Change. We have plots of land, and we're doing collaborations with Battery Park Conservancy, and they allow us to grow produce in Battery Park right here in New York City, and in Randall's Island we harvest a lot of our vegetables from Battery Park and Randall's Island, and we utilize them on the truck, and people love the food, but they don't understand the difference in the type of food that we're pumping out as to what the average establishment here in New York City is trying to pump out. Not too many people are growing their own stuff within a 20-mile proximity here in New York City. It's kind of a big deal. It does not exist, and we're trying to spearhead that and bring it to the forefront and let everyone know that you're capable of doing it. We have rooftops, we have gardens, we have communities in these areas, and we're not utilizing them. We're not in touch with the earth. There's concrete everywhere, and we don't see dirt, and when we do, we get mad. So I'm trying to teach people how to utilize that dirt.
Preach.
Yes. And James, how has it been for you working with the fellows?
This is work I've always been interested in since I was a youth. I'm 35 now, and I took a turn in my life where I didn't think that I would end up. I started working on Wall Street, and I was a stockbroker for 10 years, and it got to a point to where there's nothing else that you can look for externally. Everything has to come internally in order for you to seek or to find rewards or fulfillment. And I just got to a point where I was no longer fulfilled doing the same thing every day. I think I gained some level of success. I had a team. I had an organization, and we were a minority organization, maybe 12 to 15 guys, and going from there, and I realized I was so unhappy, I decided I need to do something for the next 5 years that I can at least be passionate about. It's not about the money, what would I be passionate about? And I found out what was going on in the city. And being from East New York, Brooklyn, I was born in 1982. East New York is governed by this place, the 75th Precinct, the worst precinct in the 90s. There was actually a documentary on Netflix called The 7-5.
Cop killing capital in the early 80s.
Terrible. And I got to a point when at a certain age, I just forgot about the things that were happening during my youth. And I had to get back to that. So the things that the chef are talking about organic food and these are the things that we teach at Drive Change. Food justice. Justice being equality for most people or all people. We would like to believe it's not a novel idea, but food. How does food get to a point where it's basically like education? Some people have the access to great education, while on the other hand, some people have access to terrible education, and some people have access to good food. Like he just said, healthy food can be cheap, but you have to start it. You have to grow it, and these are things that we just don't know. If you're not aware, then there's nothing you can really do. We have a saying in the hood, you say, if you knew better, you do better. Well, our step is to teach these people, teach the youth that there are other ways that you can go. Instead of just, if you get locked up, in the chef's position, the chef said he had some things in his pocket, some paraphernalia that got him into a bad position, but he found when he came home. Anybody that's in that position, if you're selling drugs, you have an entrepreneurial spirit. You can't find yourself working for someone else. So these are things that we teach the youth, that you have that drive, you have that ambition, but let's put it into something else. You don't have to. It's not necessarily work for somebody else, but let's give you those tools, the communication that you need, the time management that you need, the conflict resolution that you need in order to get from one step to the next. And once you open that door, how do we open the window so you can get your friends in? Open the next door, open the back door so everybody else can get involved as well, so we can create that access to opportunity for everybody. And that's what Drive Change is about. Creating access to opportunity for every person.
And that's what I love about the organization, is that it's not just, this is how you cook, this is how you make meals, but also here are these skills, here are small business skills. You can work as cashier to management, so that you learn all of these different skills that you can take elsewhere.
Absolutely.
To farmer, to serve, like we discovered purple peppers this past end of the summer into fall. And we decided to make our own hot sauce out of purple peppers, purple sauce. So
wow.
I want to call it perp sauce. No, but it's fun and it's funny and it's delicious. At the end of the day, it's really good stuff, and we can laugh about it and be comedic with it. But it's very necessary to have access to this stuff and just be creative. And I think society has taught a certain group of people to not embrace their creativity in a way that is so discouraging, where they think they'll get in trouble if they try to. And I think that's something that we're just trying to bring to the forefront and resurrect and let people know, like, we have so much. We're a soulful culture. We could do anything and do it in a way that people will be like, wow. But if we're discouraged, we won't get there. It'll never be seen.
And I think in terms of food, that's very true too. So you mentioned you're from the South Bronx, and there have been...
I'm from the west side of the Bronx. I don't know what that's. I'm from Kingsbridge, stand up.
Okay, Kingsbridge. So, but like the Bronx, the chopped cheese has been taken out, not taken out of it, but a lot of chefs have tried to just pick it up and take it elsewhere in New York City. Yeah. And people are like, what are you doing? Yeah. But there is this, within communities of color, I feel like there's this like... looking down on the foods of communities of color, and then trying to like take it and do something new with it at the same time.
It's funny when you speak of chopped cheese, and we did like a chopped cheese tutorial on I think YouTube or whatever. But chopped cheese is a staple in the hood. It's like it's the best sandwich you're gonna get hot. Like when you get out of school and you have $4 in your pocket, it's a toss up between French fries and chicken wings from the Chinese store or a chopped cheese. And on a good day, you're gonna be like, yeah, I'm gonna get this chopped cheese. I'm gonna split half of it with my little girlfriend over here. And I'm living. But
that sounds romantic. That's a date.
It works.
That's a date.
It works. But it has this stigma where, it's a chopped cheese. I have a buddy of mine that I just met. He owns a space in East Houston called Suffolk Arms, and he has a chopped cheese on his menu. It's the best chopped cheese in New York City, and it comes from our environment. He was born in the Bronx. But I went to a space last week. There's a new alleged Michelin star space on 42nd Street called The Dong. It's a Chinese cuisine. To be honest, I love the concept, but I hated everything about it because the quality of the food was wasn't up to my standard, but it also taught me that I come from that same exact environment where we have to take what we have access to and refine it. And that's what I embraced about that dining experience that night. I'm like, they're going to Canal Street and getting shrimp, lobster. You can taste it. You can taste that, like, it's Chinatown seafood. It's not, the best seafood you can get, but they did the best they could with that seafood. And that bill that night, even if I didn't like it, was a $475 bill. Ooh. Good thing it was friends and family. I didn't have to pay for it. But
right.
My takeaway was like, wow, they're taking the cheapest thing that they have access to in their environment, and they're refining it, and this is what they're doing with it. And there shouldn't be anything wrong with that. That's what we have. This is what you've given us. What do you expect us to do? Like, yeah, this is our shit. Chopped cheese. This is what you've given us.
I love it.
It's real.
I think our culture has been misappropriated so often that when we get something like soul food, that it's good to see that the world, or at least mainstream America, can get to it and they can love it as well. And things like chopped cheese, this is an inner city thing. Inner city New York, the rest of the world probably has no idea what we're talking about. But it's similar to a New York's Philly cheesesteak. Just for people that don't know what a chopped cheese is. And just to keep the record
majority
straight.
of the time it's made with chicken, though.
Yeah, right. But these are things, chopped cheese was not available where I was from. We didn't have chopped cheese. We had the Chinese restaurant, but something like a chopped cheese is something that just wasn't there. But I love to see that things that we've always done and were second nature to us are now being adopted, and mainstream likes it as well.
You had meat patties and cocoa bread, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
There you go. You didn't have cocoa bread?
I mean, in Brooklyn, West Indian culture is huge, and they're going to have a lot of stuff that the outer boroughs won't have access to. Maybe the quality of whatever it is won't be accessible in the Bronx or Staten Island or whatever. But when you go to Brooklyn, you have to have a cocoa bread and a meat patty. Now that I think about it, we might have to recreate that.
It's not a bad idea.
See, coming up with menu ideas here
Absolutely.
on Heritage Radio.
This is how it usually happens.
Everything is an idea.
All right, so we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with more.
Hearst Ranch is a proud sponsor of the Heritage Radio Network. The Hearst family has been raising cattle on the rich, sustainable native grasslands of California's Central Coast for over 150 years. Piedra Blanca Rancho in San Simeon is the original Hearst Ranch, founded by George Hearst in 1865. George's son was the famous publisher William Randolph Hearst. In addition to being known for building the iconic Hearst Castle, William was, like his father before him, an avid rancher. In his words, "I would rather spend a month at the ranch than any place in the world." Thanks to one of the largest land conservation easements in California history, a joint effort with the California Rangeland Trust, the American Land Conservancy, and the state of California, the working landscape at Hearst Ranch will be preserved forever. Learn more about Hearst Ranch at HearstRanch.com.
All right, so we're back with more A Hungry Society and Chef Marcus and James of Drive Change. So can we talk a little bit about today's dining culture? You kind of talked about it at the Friends and Family restaurant experience that you had, Chef.
Yeah, I threw that out there.
Yeah, you did. What do you make of New York's dining culture, dining scene right now? Is there anything you wish you could
It's dynamic.
change?
New York, there's nothing like a New York dining scene. You have access to it's a melting pot of cultures. What I don't like about New York's dining scene are the staff members in certain establishments. When you walk into a reputable space and the front of the house understands that they are a part of this space that is somewhat they make you feel like you don't belong there at times. It's not even the food or the chefs in the back. It's these non-New Yorkers who are like tending to you and saying you don't belong here. They give you the feel like you're not supposed to be dining here. This is too exclusive for you. How do you know about us? And that pisses me off. Because the majority of people here in New York aren't even from New York. And don't treat me like I'm not a New Yorker. But outside of that, I love New York. Like, I love being inspired. I love going out. New York's dining scene in the food culture here is amazing. It's amazing. Come here, dine,
Come and eat here.
Yeah, but and this message is the people who are coming here to look for work and trying to be a part of what New York foods. Embrace us. We're great people. Learn about the culture because it seems like it's on the verge of extinction. New York culture doesn't exist in New York anymore. But with me and James and Drive Change, we're bringing it back. We're gonna let people know that it's not going anywhere. It's a very mainstayed culture, and it's very necessary in order for us to elevate and refine it. So I go to Central Park and I hear over 1,200 different languages, and then you can walk on the outskirts and probably partake in over 200 to 300 different food cultures, be it Brazilian, Indian, Corsican. Like, it's just, where else in the world can you get them?
Right.
I appreciate that. It inspires me to, like, but then you get, as a New Yorker, you can get pigeonholed in your own pocket and you're like, I don't have to go anywhere. I don't need to travel because I have everything here.
That's
so
me.
it's a gift and a curse. Yeah, Brooklynites usually do that.
No reason to leave Brooklyn.
James, what about you?
I'm a stark contrast to the chef. He's a chef. I'm not a foodie. I used to look at food as fuel. I just eat just to satiate myself so I can move. But actually working with Job Change put me in a position to understand where my food is coming from, where it's being sourced, who's farming for the food, who's butchering the meat that I'm eating. All these things are important to me now. It's just awareness.
It's like Portlandia in the hood now, right?
If you just didn't know, you wouldn't know to know that it's wrong.
Right.
You know what I mean? But now that I know there are better ways I can do things. So, I mean, when I go to an establishment, I'm not so concerned with the person that's serving me. I'm concerned about my dining experience being the meal. From chef's position, he has to be concerned with because he runs restaurants. But at Drive Change, we believe that hospitality is a two-way street. It is that the person that you're serving must feel that they are there equal as you are, as you serving them. So if they're there to get an experience being served, you're there to give them an experience serving them.
And learn from that.
Exactly. And we believe that trust is the lifeline of justice. If you ask most formerly incarcerated people when they come home, who do they trust? I'd say a huge percentage are going to say maybe two people, and those might be their parents or their best friend or their girlfriend or their boyfriend. But believe it or not, I had a conversation with a gentleman yesterday. I told him, when you go to a dining anywhere, at McDonald's or the Chinese restaurant, you have to trust that person because they are making something and you ingest it and you put whatever they made into your body. So what we believe is that having a person create something and then serving it to someone hospitably and watching that person ingest it, I really don't think there's a better feeling than that because, I mean, it's a therapeutic experience, number one. You smelling things, you're tasting, but then giving it to someone else and having them ingest it and you looking at them and it builds community.
And
that's
they appreciate it and experience it.
Absolutely.
It bridges the gap in so many ways. We received a grant not too long ago from the district attorney's office.
Yes, a big grant.
And yeah, we received a pretty big grant. But the people serving one of our signature grilled cheese dishes from our menu, serving it to someone who probably sentenced him. You know, it's like, and how else would they meet that person unless they're in the courtroom and they're trying to sentence them? Now it's like a different window. And that trust factor is huge. You have people who will never meet certain people. All right, let me the one thing we all have in common, we can hate each other, we can be racist, we can be sexist. We all have to eat. That's it. That's what it boils down to. And push came to shove, if shit happened, if shit broke down and there was the lock on the grid or whatever the case may be, we have to eat together. And you don't care what this person's story is or his background, if this person can offer you food in the time of need, you're going to accept it.
You're going to take it. Mm-hmm.
So, and that's what it all boils down to for me, because I've met a lot of people who would not speak to me or even pay attention to me in any other circumstance, but because I fed them, they've opened up their arms to me. They've embraced me, and they made me feel like I was part of their family for that brief moment. Mm-hmm. And that for me was big. It's like, wow, it's a breakthrough. It's a breakthrough that everyone can actually participate in, if they want to. But for that matter, like I did an event, and I met Duncan Theodore. He was the ex CEO of the New York Stock Exchange. I met him briefly in an organization I was with, and we placed, because of food, I was able to place a bet with him over a New York Knicks game. It was the Knicks playing the Phoenix. We were in the skybox seats, his seats, and I said, if the Knicks win, I'm going to cater an event at the New York Stock Exchange. The Knicks lost, and he said, well, you owe me a catering event. I was the first black person to take over the New York Stock Exchange floor and cater for the CEO and probably $1 trillion worth of money in that building. Mm-hmm. And it's never happened again, and it probably won't. But that right there is breaking these boundaries and these barriers that was it was a simple product like food. I'm like, I'm gonna make this. And that's how it boils down. Like, people need to eat, and there's people out there that don't know that the next person who is going to give them their best meal, their best experience, might be someone that you were taught not to like or have a stereotypical understanding of.
I mean, you talked about that at this event that I heard you speak at, that Jordan Lexton, the founder of Dry Change, was at. And you were talking about, shout out to her.
Shout out to Jay.
You talked about how food can build trust. It can build trust within a community, between members of community and people from outside of communities even, and how they interact. How do you pass that on to your fellows, that big idea that food is way more than just what's on a plate that you're handing to someone else?
That's a great question. I think our method, and I'm actually curating a curriculum right now of how we're going to teach the youth. I think it's called pedagogy.
Pedagogy.
It's the way people are educated. But how we're starting it is you have to learn first where the food comes from. And the chef is way more knowledgeable about where the food comes from and why we cook and the seasonality of things and the locality of certain foods. But once you understand where the food comes from, some people have never seen the whole ingredient. So like he says, the gentleman coming back with a can of organic carrots, that person has probably only seen carrots chopped up in a can. Mm-hmm. I mean, when I grew up, I love you. But my mother would only, if we had vegetables, it was in a can. And I realize now, my mother, she said she doesn't like hard, crispy vegetables. She likes her vegetables to be soft. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that 30 years ago, but now I know. She likes, so these are things, but once again, if you know better, you do better. I now know my vegetables, in order to retain the nutrients, I shouldn't cook them as long.
It's a great point, James.
So it's all about how you teach. Well, once somebody knows where it comes from and the actual purpose of something, all I can do is give you the information. Information is the most important thing in life. And now it's about the accuracy of information. We all have access to the same information, but it's about the accuracy of the information.
Yes.
So if once you understand where it comes from and the purpose of it, it's up to you to decide what you want to do with that information. Mm-hmm. So now I know my vegetables should not be mushy.
Right.
No.
Right.
It's funny, and like that brought up. I remember experiencing. I served someone a Kobe burger, a fresh ground Kobe beef burger, and they hated it because they were used to McDonald's. He's like, "This is weird," and I'm like, "You're used to processed shit."
Yeah.
And if I try to give you something natural, I'm gonna have to take the same amount of time it took you to love processed shit and feed you real food.
Yeah.
And that's in order for you to make that transition. And it was just so baffling to me. Like the first time I ate, I was fortunate enough. Soon as I stopped doing what I was doing in the streets, like a few months later, I was able to open up my first restaurant in Cooperstown, New York. It was a farm-to-table space My partner had 480 acres of farmland. We were growing all our own produce. I ate an egg that was 7 minutes old. The yolk was white.
Wow.
Never had an egg like that in my life
Never heard of it.
since that term.
Wow.
Because eggs oxidize. So the longer the egg sits, the yellow that yolk, it changes the color of it. But the egg yolk was white, and I've never eaten an egg since that day that was that good. It was just so fresh, and I'm like, wow. And most people will never experience that.
Mm-hmm.
And if they ever get, I feel like when we get them to the position to actually experience that, they might not embrace it.
Right. They might be closed off to
They're
it
gonna be
because
like,
they haven't experienced
Yeah,
that.
they might, like, I don't eat egg whites.
Mm-hmm. Or like personally, like I've slowly started to get people in my family to eat things not well done, like medium,
Yeah, so you can
rare.
taste the actual flavor.
Mm-hmm. But even that was hard because
Yeah.
I grew up eating everything well done.
Absolutely.
So it takes time to like expose.
Shout
people
out to
different
Irv.
things.
That's my father. Irv cremates his carcasses. Irv will cook a steak in the oven for 13 hours. Like, I'll go to sleep, wake up, that steak is still cooking in the oven. And when I hit, like, yo, it ain't done yet. Like, so that's where we come from.
Yeah.
You know, we want to
Yeah.
make sure we're not gonna get sick.
Right.
Because we're used to, like, if it's not well done, or if we don't kill the sickness in this dish, we will get sick.
Mm-hmm.
But if we have fresh stuff, there's there's less to worry about.
It comes from not having the best of things
Absolutely.
and cooking it to make sure that you can eat it and be fine.
You can eat it raw. You know, so
Technically.
yeah, you're not there yet.
I wouldn't
James.
suggest it. Yeah,
James,
listen.
James,
Yeah.
I wouldn't even call James a neophobe. I mean, he's breaking through.
I thanks to the chef, I try things now. But
You had blue cheese for the first time, thanks.
What did you think? Some people don't like blue cheese.
Jennifer,
I
as
still
well.
don't.
Him and Jen.
I still don't.
You still don't?
Yeah, it's a mental thing. I'm getting over it though.
Okay. So you talked about your restaurant experience. Can both of you talk about like one of the worst dining experiences that you've ever had?
Never experienced. Damn, I'm dropping balls. Go ahead, Jay.
And you know,
You don't have to say the name of the place, but
I'm
you can
going
if you want to.
yeah, Applebee's. I mean, my girlfriend used to work at Applebee's, and I think my second job, something like that. We were maybe like 18, 19, and I thought Applebee's cooked everything, and I come to find out Applebee's just everything comes.
Yeah, they're
prepared,
just
like-
opening up a
Yeah, they
package.
might microwave it or whatever. But every steak that came out, and I'm talking literally maybe a long time ago, over 15 years ago, every steak that came out was done bad. I never have a problem because if it's on the menu, I don't have to alter anything. The worst case scenario, I'll go to a burger. I could eat a burger anyway, and it might have to be well done depending on where I go. But that was my worst experience. And any steak that came out was overdone for her, and yeah, I just remember that. It just stuck with me. So
And
I
she
know-
was working there?
No, she worked at the restaurant at the time.
Okay.
But at the time that we were actually dining, she wasn't working.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's messed up. Usually if someone comes into the restaurant that they work at, they try to take care of you.
Yeah, and you know
So
who's working.
Right.
Like, tell them to make my steak.
Right. So the fact that they messed it up over and over again is bad.
Or it's a testament to her pickiness.
Or maybe it's that.
Applebee.
What about you, Chef?
I'm a snob. I don't know. I can't remember. I was on a little spiral of myself, like going out every night. Like, we currently live in Nolita. It's probably one of the most scenic dining areas of New York City right now, and have access to all these amazing spaces. But as I partake in these spaces, I'm realizing, like, it's just basic. They're just trying to make money.
Mm-hmm.
They're not doing anything spectacular. I can't comment on my worst dining experience. I probably am going to comment on my best dining experiences.
Yeah, please.
And I took a trip out to San Francisco, and I was able to dine at a space called Benu. Chef Corey Lee. It's a 3 Michelin star space. And that dining experience for me just changed my life. Like, a year later, I went back and worked for that man for free for 6 months. that's how much it changed my life. I said I need to be in that kitchen. And that kitchen is a museum. They literally have like carpet on the floor. That's how clean that kitchen. The whole space is glass, and people walk past and they stop in front of the window and they look at you prep for the entire day, and they look at you cook these dishes as they go out, and you have to be on your A game. And after experiencing that, it just allowed me to understand, like, wow, how much we need to learn, how much we need to put into our culture, our food culture, and there's just so much to teach. I mean, as a chef, there's not too many dining experiences. I'm like, oh my, I don't like anything. I hate everybody. I don't like anything.
He's not lying.
I'm dead serious, and I look forward to being pleased. So with that standard, like, I'm not gonna like it. Oh wow, you pleased me. Thank you. I will be back. This is my name. What's your name? Like, we develop a relationship. Let's do something together. But I mean, I expect disenchantment a lot of the time, because I mean, this is what we live in. People, we live in a society where it's easy to get away with bullshit. If you can do it in the right way, you can get away with bullshit.
In the right way,
yeah.
Whatever that means.
Hence, Roberta, how many pizza shops are here in New York City?
Too much to count.
Too much to count. But when you can create a pizza shop, still a pizza shop, where you're going to have people from every borough coming out to your pizza shop, that's the right way.
You done did good.
You did good.
Right.
You've separated yourself. It's not about pizza anymore. It's this experience.
Yeah.
It's a dining experience. And that's what we try to create with Drive Change, because we have a food truck, but we're not pumping out food truck food. We got sous vide beef fried rice, and like, we're pumping out some Michelin star food from a food truck, and we're trying to change the perspective of food truck dining experience. And I appreciate that. So that's our mission at the moment. And in the process, we're teaching dudes who just came home from jail how to make fresh pasta, fresh ravioli, fresh bread, and they're harvesting here in New York City, and all these things that a lot of these individuals were born and raised here, and they didn't know we had access to it.
And that goes way beyond just their time with Drive Change.
Yes.
Those are skills they can take
Absolutely.
for the rest of their lives,
Right.
and their
Something
children and their
living
families can
it's passed
benefit
down.
from that
Generations benefit from that. Absolutely.
So my last question for both of you, and I ask this of every guest: if you could have your last meal in a restaurant, where would it be, and who's invited?
I would say I'd invite my mother.
Is it a question mark? You're not sure if she's on the guest list?
I'm not really sure. I'll just give it some context. I remember when I first became a broker, one of my first big checks, I took my mother and my father to Morton's Steakhouse. And there was one right downtown Brooklyn by the court area. And we go in there, it looks like a museum. They got wine everywhere. The walls are wine. Like, it's crazy. And the meal may have been $300, right? $400 between three of us. And I go to the bathroom with my father, and he's like, you could have gave that money to your mother, and she would have cooked dinner for 2 weeks. I'm like, are you kidding me?
You're like, that's not the point.
She's
my
mother and my father unimpressed, right? So I would not bring my mom, right? But I think, to me right now, my favorite restaurant is Budokan.
Okay.
It used to be Beauty in Essex. But I just like, if I can go somewhere and find multiple things on the menu to eat, then it's my favorite. So right now, Budokan has like maybe 6-7 things on the menu I can just dib and dab for the rest of the night. So I say Budokan, probably with, how many people I get?
The restaurant's shut down. It's just you.
Oh,
It's all you.
Yep. It's
Okay,
your night. It's your last night.
Might just be with me.
Just nobody can come.
Nope. No one.
Okay, you're the first guest to give that answer.
Only because it's a few places I don't like being bothered. Eating is one. Taking a shower is another.
Okay.
And sleeping is the last. But if this is my last time to eat at a restaurant, I don't want to have a conversation. I just want to eat, and I love their food. So the last time, yeah.
Great.
Well, right now, one of my favorite restaurants in New York City is Rock Ramen in Harlem. It's a ramen oyster bar. A friend of mine, he was the mixologist at, what's the name of this? Angel Share in St. Mark's. It's a Japanese whiskey bar. And he's by far one of the best mixologists here in New York City. But he happens to make the best ramen here in New York City. So it's like the best of everything. But I would probably go to my old neighborhood and take it back to where it all started, which was my mother's apartment, and I would do the cooking.
Okay.
It would literally be the last meal.
What would be on the menu?
We would probably break. I like duck. I don't know. That's a good course. Don't do that. Don't put me on the spot. What would be on the menu? We would do a lot of braising. I mean, I love roasted vegetables. I mean, whatever we could harvest, whatever season it is, whatever season we're in, we're gonna take it up a notch, and we're gonna make the best of whatever that is. I don't have a favorite food. I have a favorite idea. You know, and that varies at times. Yesterday's idea might not work, then I have a new one today, and we're gonna try to execute that. It's you know, the end result would be what it is, but I want to build the furniture that people are going to dine on, because I'm building furniture now. So like growing up in the Bronx, early 80s, the Bronx was arson capital of the world. And I walked out of my apartment seeing burnt down. Buildings were burning, cars were on fire. And I jumped into making furniture, food furniture. Like I built the chef's table that exists in my house now. That picture that you posted, it was the table that I built. And I want people to dine on I'm making forks, spoons, and knives out of wood. And I want to grow the food that people are like, just this whole experience that has never took place before. So I would probably curate the ultimate dining experience and then jump in the grave.
How many people are there, and who's there?
Whoever. One person said to me, because I was frustrated about speaking to them, like, people are not getting it, they're not listening. And this person, I'm going to drop a name, Oprah said to me, stop speaking to the wrong people.
There you go.
Speak to the people who are listening.
Find your tribe.
So whomever wants to participate in that deathly dining experience, let's go. Like, the table's there for you, but I'm not gonna say, hey, this is for you, because it might not be. It's not for everybody. It's not for everybody, and I've come to that understanding, and I accept that right now. Everyone is not ready for it.
What are you drinking? What are both of you drinking at your last meal?
Bullet bourbon.
Nice. Neat on the rocks.
One big rock. Big piece of ice.
A glacier.
There you go.
Just the bottle on the table. Have as much as you. I mean, you're not gonna be hungover. You're dying tomorrow, so you know.
So me and James, we're probably gonna come out with our own spirit, and that probably would be at the table.
He letting cats out the bag.
Yeah, wait.
Cat's still in the bag. He just letting it all out the bag.
If you had to have the meal, well, that's morbid.
Nothing's morbid. Go for it.
If you had to pick a spirit that's available right now, or a wine, or a cocktail, or anything.
Damn, I was going to shoot. I'm not going to shoot. I like scotch. I like dark bourbons, whiskeys, or whatever. Cognacs. I don't have a favorite right now.
So would you just have like a bar spread of all these things?
Yeah, just a wide array of dark spirits.
Going out tomorrow, drink everything.
Right.
Drink it all. I mean, I have right now. It's funny because like I do have someone that I would love to embrace, but they're not embracing me back. So hey, fuck it.
Yeah, those things happen.
Well, now I don't want to end. I don't want that to be my last question. I feel like we should dive into that.
Ask a few more questions. Let's go.
I feel like I should dive into that.
What, that spirit? She's a troublemaker. Cautious from she liked that. She liked this shit. Like, so I have a donut, and it's on the Drive Change menu. It's a brown butter and cognac donut.
Oh man!
Wow.
And I take brown butter and I burn it and I filter it to where I make a powder out of the brown butter, and that goes over the donut, like, you know, powdered donuts, but it's brown butter powder on this donut, and it has burnt Madagascar vanilla beans and preserved lemon. I was using Douce to make this donut.
How much was the donut?
We introduced the donut at the New York Food and Wine Festival. This previous, I think that was what, August or October?
Maybe October.
October.
Yeah.
The donut itself will probably go for like $7-8 a donut.
Well, a bottle of Douce is pretty expensive.
Like $60,
$60. But it's not about the liquor aspect of it. It's more about
it's just like a background flavor.
Utilizing certain spirits that you appreciate and saying, hey, you can do more than just drink with these things and still appreciate them. I wanted to offer different outlets to that. But it's a brown butter and black salt with preserved lemon and cognac on this donut. It's a big deal. It's
not even regular black salt. It's like lava salt.
It's volcanic salt.
Yeah, volcanic. Volcanoes have salt.
But since we can't get Douce, we're gonna go with Hennessy. And so this is a cognac donut made with Hennessy, black salt, my preserved lemon, and brown butter powder.
Wow.
Douce will be back.
I don't know. We over it.
We over it. All right. Well, I think that's the perfect way to end the first season of A Hungry Society. We're off the Douce. We're back on Hennessy.
You know what? You can't change certain societies. Like Hennessy is strong in the hood.
They're a staple.
They're
you know
not
what's funny is
anywhere.
that's not the first time that Hennessy has been mentioned on the show. You know,
Hennessy.
take that how you will. I don't know what that means.
I'm a huge fan of the people behind that.
Get out of here. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much for joining me today. I had so much fun. And special shout out to David Teske. I'm going to mess this up. Tadashore.
It's okay. It's really tough.
That is the voice of David, who has produced
David, thank you.
the shows this season, and I'm so grateful.
David.
Thank you so much. Please give yourself one of those applause thingies. And Vitor Hirsch, who has helped so much this season too. And thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you next season on The Hungry Society.
Be great.
Thanks for listening to Heritage Radio Network, food radio supported by you. For our freshest content and to hear about exclusive events, subscribe to our newsletter. Enter your email at the bottom of our website, heritageradionetwork.org. Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at heritage_radio. Heritage Radio Network is a nonprofit organization driving conversations to make the world a better, fairer, more delicious place. And we couldn't do it without support from listeners like you. Want to be a part of the food world's most innovative community? Rate the shows you like, tell your friends, and please join our community by becoming a member. Just click on the beating heart at the top right of our homepage. Thanks for listening.